Okay, and you mentioned that there was one episode that did not go so well.
The ones that don't go well are the ones where you let your own insecurities get the better of you. When you let your stuff take precedence over your child's. And it could be whatever it is. The example I'm going to share is one morning at Thea's preschool where all the children seem to be remarkably well behaved all the time. Nobody falls apart, nobody has tantrums, they say please and thank you. They're all going to get in early to Harvard by the time they're 10. It's really terrifying. So Thea decided she wasn't going to put her shoes on. Perfect storm. She's stubborn. The mommies are all watching. Their hair is perfect. I'm exhausted. All right, so it's drastic. It's drastic.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really ugly. Yeah. I looked in the mirror and I thought, how did that happen? You know, I woke up in the morning, how did that happen? And so have slept off to school, feeling basically like the lame in the hall. And there's my child being an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So I got mad. That's what happens. The mommy rage starts to build. And you meet that child's rage with your own. Yours is bigger. Yours is more intense. Yours will always win, but in a way that is very destructive. So that, for me, means that I say, you aren't behaving right. Get your shoes on now. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Shove the shoe on. It's physical. It's aggressive. It's unkind. Grab by the waist, plonk in the stroller, and get out of Dodge.
Right.
It's too violent. It's too physical. It's too quick. It's not patient enough.
What did she do? How did she react?
Screaming her head off. Refused to be placated until I stopped, because children will always give you a second chance. And I said, boy, I am really sorry. I blew it. I got mad. I'm tired. No excuse. Will you forgive me?
What'd she say?
And she says, think about it.
That's sharp.
Sharp. She's right. It doesn't, that kind of thing you can get away with if you do it kind of once in a blue moon, once in a while. You do that on a daily basis, your child is really going to have a hard time with you and with her own rage, because she doesn't have a model for what to do with it.
Right.
Once in a while, we all blow it. Once in a while, we turn into monsters.
We're human.
We're human.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to pick yourself up, forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness of your child, not necessarily expect that it's going to come back in full measure, but move on to the next place.
What is too much for your child? Or what is too little? Or where do you think that line should fall?
I think the most important thing about homework is that it should be something the child can do by him or herself.
Okay.
There is an enormous amount of parent complicity in homework getting done across the board. Some kids are complete self-starters and can manage it on their own.
Right.
I had a friend the other day who was sending her daughter off to college and said, I don't know how she's going to manage. She's never done any homework by herself. And there's so much emphasis on competition, especially in New York, and on those precious spots at the fancy middle schools or at the odd private school that kids are going to be able to get into and parents will pay for, that there is a great deal of pressure on children to do well, to be responsive, and without a parent often right there, they're going to have a hard time finishing even the 45 minutes to an hour that they're offered.
Right.
What we need to teach kids to do is to be responsible for themselves, is to be independent, is to be proud of that independence, and committed to their own learning. So that starts before you get them in middle school. That starts when they're Ari's age. That starts when they're Thea's age. That starts really, really young. Helping kids get connected to what it is that excites them and proud of and responsible for the work that they do or don't do. So I would really encourage parents to be hands-off in terms of that. And you as a teacher then can see what exactly they're doing and what it is they know and how they know it. I'm looking at Toby's 4th grade math projects. I use this stuff every day. It's everyday math. It's everyday work that is absolutely integral to my ability to function even moderately as a numerate human being. So these are life skills. They're not just higher learning skills. They're not just content skills. They're life skills. And that to me is the function of homework. You emphasizing a hands-off policy with parents, not letting the parents get involved, making sure that kids are connected and focused on work because it's important to their ability to function and flourish as a human being is what is critical. Particular hour, amount, going to depend on the kid. It's going to depend on the project. If you're going to be teaching in New York City schools, you've got the world at your fingertips.
Right, exactly.
Why wouldn't you want to address what the children are part of? Why wouldn't you want to bring in their backgrounds? Why wouldn't you want to be able to say, this is critical? Where it comes from. And it's very hard to do that work really honestly and sheared from a political perspective. It is a political perspective. And you have to own that and be honest about that in the way that you can with your students and with the parents. You'll encounter resistance, I would imagine, from various people. But I think you go meet that resistance. Go speak truth to power. This is what this is about. History is made by everyone. It belongs to all of us. It's democratic.
Right.
We are each our own history. It deserves to be counted, to be known, to be noticed, to be part of what it is we do. And again, if people can't find in the topic that they're studying something that relates to something they care passionately about, it's going to be a lot harder to invest those children. As a historical novelist, I don't write exclusively novels that are set in the past, but I think most novels, if you look at it, are written in the past tense. They are reflections of what has happened. They're reflections on what has happened. And so that I've become really interested and really attuned to where things come from and where people come from and the interaction between who we are and what surrounds us, the things of the world that surround us. So you can look at this cracker packet and wonder, where did the flour come from? Where did the wheat come from? Where did the salt come from? Why did they choose this particular design? Who designed it? Who put the packaging on? What was her name? Was she from Guatemala? Has she been here 20 years? Has she been here 5? Did she come last month? Everything around us is connected to people who made it, thought it, did it, somehow were involved. And teasing those out into the open becomes an enormously exciting way to make history come alive. Anything you can do to personalize history in that way and make people aware of their own ability to create and shape the world around them is extremely powerful. Muriel Rukeyser is a poet from the 1950s, 1960s, has a beautiful quotation about the fact that the universe is made not of atoms, but of stories. And that we literally, what we are made of, the building blocks of what we are stories. They're bits and pieces of our lives that we have shaped in order to give to other people. I feel that stories are gifts. They are something that I construct, and I try and do it carefully, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a memory, whether it's a story that I'm writing on the page for a book. I try and construct it as if it's a gift, and then there's an offering. And Donna might want it, Sarah might want it, Toby might want it, Thea might want it, some person I've never met might want it. It's given. And as with conversation, it depends on a kind of gap. I can talk, but then there has to be a gap of silence so that you can respond, Stories are the same way. There's a giving and there's a gap. You might receive it, you might not. For me, story is about that kind of exchange. Then I give you one in a conversation. You look at mine, you take it apart a little bit, and then you give me one of yours, and then I receive it back. And the exchange of stories then, because they're happening almost simultaneously, not quite, but almost simultaneously, much more likely to create an impact.